Hey, what's going on, Miguel Lloyd, host of Life Full Circle Radio. Thanks for joining us. What's up? So this week we're going to jump on this thing because there's a lot going on in these internet streets. We have been busy the last couple of weeks. We had a few things that to get off our chest. So Chaka Khan kind of came out and basically shared a private conversation she had with Mary J. Blige, and it was all good until the internet got on her back and she even issued an apology. We'll talk about that. Politics and crime. Lori Lightfoot, who is the current mayor of Chicago, she lost, I believe, is in a primary, and so she won't even be able to seek re-election. She lost in the early rounds, and so there's a little bit behind this from politics and crime, and the fact that that's always the easy thing they go to is that all the Democratic cities are what most crime is, and so. But a lot of these cities that have Democratic mayors, they also have governors who are Republicans, and so there's a lot of funding and issues that are there. But we'll talk about that a little bit. And then I want to talk about my man Dave from De La Soul. I'm of a certain age, and if you came up in the late '80s, early '90s, you were a certain type of dude. De La Soul was it. De La Tribe, the whole native tongue movement, and I ain't gonna lie, man. This whole thing with Dave was bad, but there's more to it than just his brother losing his life at 54 years old. His De La Soul's music was not available for streaming during this whole time. We've been streaming all the Apple Music, Spotify, all that stuff, all this whole run. Their catalog was not available to be streamed, and so there's a whole generation of kids who don't even know who De La is and the impact that they had on this culture. And so now they have that opportunity, and so we're gonna talk a little bit about that there. So all right, let's jump into this thing. All right, so we want to, as we mentioned, we mentioned last few weeks here. If you're wondering how we're broadcasting our show, Ecamm is the product, is the service. These are some of the products that we're using to broadcast the show. If you go to my website or scan that QR code right there, you can go straight to the page and you can check it out and pick up some of this great content. I love that piece right there. You can do some mobile broadcasting with that piece right there. Super producer, hold on, you not? I can't hear you.
That's because I was muted, because I'm so unorganized today.
It's Sunday, man. I'm telling you, if we gonna start, go ahead, you got your file in your hand. Go ahead.
Yes, because I'm annoyed. First of all, people, y'all know y'all talk to us at 8 o'clock. Why y'all talking to us at 7? The daylight saving time gets our show. What the hell? Oh, Jesus.
Daylight
I have on
savings.
no hair, no makeup, a fried chicken dress.
Well, I was cooking cheesesteaks tonight. That was my quick go to tonight. I didn't feel like firing up the grill because it's raining here in the A, and it's like, okay, we at that time where it'll be 80 degrees on Tuesday and 40 degrees on Wednesday, and so this Sunday, yesterday it was 75. Today it's 55, and I'm like, I ain't going out in the rain.
It's annoying in the South when it gets cold. I will agree with you on that, because it's cold in the morning time. And you're like, well, how is it supposed to be in the afternoon? What do I wear? What do I put the kids in? I don't know. So we're just not going to leave the house. This is my husband says, we're just going to stay home.
No, this is a stay home day. AAU season is in full effect. And so we was out there in the AAU internet streets cheering on the kids this past weekend. And that's it. So anyway, man, there's been a lot going on. No makeup. Great. Anybody worrying about your makeup? You good?
So no, Vegas is the most bare I've ever been on this show. And as you guys can see, I still look the same with no makeup. I just look tired. That's what it is. Yeah, give me a full screen of this. Yes.
Yep. Because I call myself supposed to have my little grass. See, I got my little blue tent back there now.
I like that though. It's a good vibe because now we're matching. See, I got blue in mine.
Oh
and you
yeah,
got blue
there you go.
So now we're like on the vibe. It's a little bright in here though. Let me just fix the bright. This is too bright.
All right, okay, all right. That's Miguel go to one shot. So anyway, so we're gonna have some fun here today. Make sure you come in. And for people who are from a certain era and a certain day, I want y'all to come hang out with us because I'm gonna be talking a little bit later on in the show because I want to take my time. Well, let me ask you this because I know I always joke Kia's like my little sister. So
yep.
De La Soul.
I know who they are. Don't you dare ask me if I know who De La Soul is. I know who De La Soul is.
I ain't talking about so much. Do you just know who they are? Do you have you ever really spent much time listening to their music?
No, I will be honest about that. I've never spent that much time listening to the music. My dad and my mom were actually fans of De La Soul, so it used to be on repeat in my dad's car and on cassette tape. Yes, cassette tape.
All right, now you made me feel old. All right, so my mom and my dad, they were listening to but you know it's wild because yo, De La Soul first hit the scene in 88. I was
Cassette
in
tape.
high school. It was a cassette tape. Yes, it was.
Tape.
But yes, it was because my first CD was 91. That was Brand Nubian. So it was definitely a cassette tape in 88. Shout out to my man Ernie Morant, whose people's worked at Hampton Institute at, I think it might have been still HI at the time. And it was the first time I heard it was after school one time at his crib. We'll go down memory lane a little bit later. But with that, man, part of the reason why a lot of people haven't discovered their music, because you know the music I love Aretha, and I love Marvin Gaye, and I love Earth, Wind and Fire, and these artists that came out, songs that came out before I was born or when I was a baby, and that was because of radio stations that played it. Our parents played it, right? So now you have an era of consumers who don't depend on the radio. The business of radio tells you outside of maybe Saturday or Break of Dawn, a few De La Soul tracks, they never got a lot of airplay, and then you didn't have the ability to discover them on the streaming services because they weren't there, and that is the unfortunate part of what happened. So recently, Dave from De La Soul passed away. They haven't released what he died of. We're all kind of assuming congestive heart failure, huh?
Old age.
He was 54. I'm
Sorry.
50. No, not old age. He had congestive heart failure that he talked about with their last album they released in 2016. And, that's what we're assuming. Anyway, we're going to dig into that a little bit later on in the show. But let's, we said, we don't need no guests today. We said we wanted to talk about what was going on in these internet streets. And so there's a few things on our
Y'all,
list.
we gonna be honest with you. Until we pick a date that we can keep this regular, we not gonna have no guests, and that's just how it's gonna be.
We're gonna figure that out. We're gonna figure that out, man. And the life is what it is. We're gonna figure that out. But family come first. But anyway, so you want to let's get into the subject matter you want to talk about. Let's jump out the gate. I think I want to jump out the gate with Chaka Khan.
Can we jump out with CeCe?
CeCe's queued up. All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and jump into this CeCe Winans. All right. So CeCe Winans, go ahead and set it up.
So CeCe Winans was preaching about a week ago. Sorry, we're behind, guys, but about a week ago she was preaching, and she brought up the fact that she was asked to be in the "I'm Every Woman" music video, which we remember "I'm Every Woman" Whitney Houston was pregnant, TLC was in it, Chaka Khan's in it, a lot of very iconic Black women are in there, and CeCe, who else?
I said absolutely. You're right. And everybody was in it.
Any other celebrity Black women that were in it, but
that's 25, 30 years ago. But everybody was in there except for CeCe Winans, and there was a reason why.
And the reason why is because CeCe Winans was like, those lyrics are demonic, and because of what I do, I could not be in that video. And a lot of people were just like, well, that's just a little dramatic. Like, what is she talking about? Then I read the lyrics and I was like, oh yeah, no. I'm with her. So
yeah, right here in verse 1. I can cast a spell, secrets you can tell.
Make a special brew for fire inside of you. Anytime you feel dangerously, I will appear.
Instantly appear. For all our super Christians out there, and next time I'm gonna get my auto tune, so I'm gonna sound just like Whitney with the mic. I'm gonna find it because I got some mic setups over here. I could probably do it. But it was wild. Well, because that was and here's the funny thing is we will be talking about Chaka Khan here very shortly. And that was originally Chaka's song. And so and Chaka was actually in that video. And so Whitney sung this song. It was a great hit. It was a dance hit. I want to say it probably was 90, maybe 90, 91, 92, somewhere in there. And it was just a monster hit. But CeCe Winans has done a great job of being herself over her entire career, 35 plus year career, her and her brother. And folks accept them as they are. God bless. And she said, "Nah, sis, nope, I'm not coming up in your video and having my church folks, rightfully so, jumping on my back."
But a lot of people, I don't think we've ever really. There's certain songs you don't pay attention to the lyrics. You're just kind of singing them because you're singing them. And when I, as an adult, read those lyrics, like, nobody should be singing this. This sounds inappropriate. What in the Harry Potter is happening right now? Why are we singing these lyrics?
Well, that's a whole different conversation because a lot of folks, we're at a different age now. We're oppressing the people of the witchcraft life by not talking about singing their songs.
And her and Whitney Houston weren't just homegirls who did a song together once in a while.
No, they were very close.
Like best friends. They were very, very close.
They were very close. Yes.
And then CeCe said her next song was Count on Me. And she asked CeCe to be in that video and sing the song. CeCe was like, absolutely, girl, I will absolutely be in that song. Yes.
Yeah. And that's the thing that you like about true friendship, man. When it comes down to what they had a true friendship and for sure. And so we appreciate what they did. But like she said, I ain't singing that. I'm not singing it. Don't ask me. And for those, once again, right now we're talking about Whitney Houston, CeCe Pennington almost. CeCe Winans. What?
I love CeCe Pennington too, by the way, just as a side note. CeCe Pennington, and that was a little bit before my time of being able to really like sing songs. Because what was she, 91, 92?
CeCe Pennington was late 80s, early 90s, somewhere in there. She's in that 88 to 92, somewhere in there with her when house music was all over the place.
So as a grown woman, me and the twins on the drive to go drop them off, it's CeCe Pennington blasting through the radio.
And it was great. CeCe Pennington had great dance music, no question about that. But wrapping this story up, as we mentioned, it was good that Whitney had those type of friends around her, CeCe Pennington, and RIP to the good Whitney. So let's move on over here to Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan.
She gotta stop smoking weed.
Chaka Khan doing more than smoking. There's a story. There's a story. When I was talking to my mom one time about Chaka Khan, and my mom, it's so funny. My wife and I get a joke about this every time. Because when she said, "Oh yeah, Chaka be out at the concert," and she be fired up, and she had a little finger going like that, right? And we just bust out laughing every time. If you guys saw the verses last year before with Chaka and Gladys Knight.
Gladys Knight, where Gladys sang both people's songs.
Chaka was on fire. That girl was on something. Weed, coke, liquor. She wasn't
even singing, guys. She was just, ooh, y'all sing now. And it's like, madam, it's not our verses.
So when I talked to my dad, I talked to my mom, I talked to people of that generation, and I talked to them about Chaka Khan, it was like, yeah, Chaka Khan. We knew Chaka Khan always was lit. So I was like, oh, okay, so this is no surprise because it was, for me, I was watching that verses and I was cringing like, oh, God, Chaka, yo, girl, you are embarrassing yourself. It was like, nah, ain't no embarrassment. That's Chaka. Chaka always is on point.
Here's the thing with Chaka. I feel like she only takes it serious if it's a serious venue. Versus ain't no serious venue. We all know that.
Well, to her,
no.
to her, no, hear me out. To her generation, I see what you're saying. But before they got into whatever they got into with Timbaland and what's my man's name? That other dude married to Swiss Beats. Before they got into that beef about a year ago, they was putting out every month until I think everybody got. You see, I know when you stop taking it seriously with that Ray J.
Before that, I forgot who it was that made me stop taking it seriously. Because was Chaka after that?
I don't know, probably, but there were some good shows, and it was really once they got into once they got into some of the other stuff that they did.
Once they started making it this production thing, that's when I was out. When it was still even as the pandemic waned down and it was still an Instagram versus thing, I was all into it. Me and my husband, we were all into it. When it became a whole on stage, now our entourages are here. And you're right. Maybe Ray J probably is the one.
The Ray J verses was terrible. Here's the thing.
But that's not the story we want to talk about right now.
Right.
Chaka,
go ahead.
Okay,
no,
so
go ahead.
Chaka actually was talking about Mary J. Blige recently. Mary J. Blige vocals are flat on Sweet Thing cover. And I think, Chaka was just kind of doing that thing where you kind of poke fun a little bit and talk to a singer you've known for you. It wasn't serious. But of course, like you said, the internet gets a hold of it and turns into this whole thing of Chaka just hates new singers and Chaka's this and Chaka's that. I don't think Chaka is any of those things. I think Chaka is an old school singer who wants to tell the young girls, y'all, you know, you a little flat girl. You need to pick up your vocals. Ha ha ha. Oh, girl, you just doing too much on the song. It's just that.
I
But I do
saw.
feel like she's a top of the drugs.
Well, here's the thing. I heard Shaka's vocals from this, and she basically said, "Me and Mary J are cool. That's my girl." And then she said she
Yeah.
was asking her questions, basically like, "Hey, when did you sing this song?" And she said she sung 8 o'clock. And we said, "Girl, you don't sing nothing 8 o'clock in the morning." And that's something that somebody who knows, if you've been out drinking, smoking, doing coke or whatever that you're doing, you don't do that first thing in the morning. No, your vocals, your vocal cords are like, nah, buddy, are you out your mind?
No, I'm
And,
laughing for real. That's Shaka
yeah,
Khan.
she was like, and
Oh, you
that,
sing at 8?
she said, you singing at 8 o'clock in the morning, girl. You don't sing that at 8 o'clock in the morning. And so when she said it, it was tongue in cheek. It was something you expect. Like, me and my boys, we all have this story. I'm sure the way you talk to your girlfriend, you talk to your brother, that ain't stuff the way we don't need to hear that on the air. The way I talk to my boys when I'm really in it and I'm really clowning, no, you'll never hear that on Life on Circle Radio, or Lord knows anything I do in any other public speaking that I do.
The way
So
I talk to my brother, call him on the phone. Hey, N-word, you talk to mom? Yeah, she called you back.
right,
That's simply different.
It's just, but that's what you do when you're having fun with the people that you love. It's endearing.
Yes.
But then all of a sudden, they want to make a big deal out of it. And, all of a sudden, she got to come out with this old Instagram apology. And I'm sitting there reading this thing. And I'm just like,
unnecessary. Nobody asked for that.
Nobody asked for it. Shaka Khan, do you just stay sober in public?
You want to give us an apology? Apologize to us after that versus. That's when we were owed an apology. Any other apology, we don't care. It's you're Chaka Khan. No one cares.
And maybe it's because supposedly she also mentioned Mariah Carey and Adele. Now they're a little sensitive. They might have got out there and their little stands got out there and started tripping about who is this old woman who talking about Mariah Carey and Adele. You lost your mind now. Chaka Khan, when she's sober.
Carey's fan, but Adele seems kind of just take it in stride about a lot of stuff. Like when people were calling her fat, and then people said, "Oh, she's not gonna have a good voice when she gets skinny. Oh, she dating a black man. Oh, she out here at the Caribbean Festival in Bantu knots. Oh, it's racist." She's kind of like, I'm just trying to.
I'm Adele, and I'm making a mint right now, and all I got to do is put out one album every doggone 5 years, unlike anybody else. Everybody else is just out there joint hustling. They out there like they putting out Happy Meals every day. They putting out a new song. Adele, like, what is her albums are 21, 25,
25,
30. I don't know. All I know is that every time she puts an album out,
very poignant. I feel like Adele. Don't murder me on this.
Yeah,
I gotta stick. Adele is the white version of Beyonce. The reason why I say that is because she only has to put out albums when she wants to, and they'll sell out internationally. I'm not talking about her getting on stage and dancing and all that kind of stuff, but those albums will sell out internationally. She could tour forever on all 3 previous albums, and no one care about new stuff she puts out. And I'm talking about all over the world. There's only very few singers who can sell out all over the world. Beyonce.
I say she the
Mariah
British.
Carey.
I say she the British Taylor Swift.
But Adele sings better than Taylor Swift.
I'm just messing with you. No, you're right. Taylor, she's in rare era right now of people like you said, like Beyonce, like Adele, like Taylor Swift, that sit up here and say, "I'm gonna drop an album." Mariah Carey. Mariah ain't gonna do another album ever. That Christmas song gets her paid every doggone year. From November to December, the airwaves are Mariah.
Not even November, October. They start playing in October. And you're just like, why? My kid is wearing a Halloween costume.
Oh my God. So Mariah said, I ain't got to make no new music later for that. So anyway, so you're right. You're right. Adele, she seems like she definitely is comfortable around a little bit of everybody. He's loved by a little bit of everybody. And like I said, her sad songs sell out a whole lot. So anyway, so when you think about it, are you frozen? Oh, there you go. But see, you wasn't moving.
No, sorry. I was trying to figure out which story we were going to go to next.
All right, where you want to go next? Where you want to go next?
We can go Nick Cannon and Kevin Hart's stupid prank show.
They got us. They got you. I didn't really care.
There's no way E would have put that show out. So what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is that last Thursday, I think it was like Monday through Thursday, the E Network and Kevin Hart and Nick Cannon were promoting a show called Who's Gonna Be Who's going to have Nick Cannon's baby next, or who's Nick Cannon's next baby's mama? And a lot of people thought this show was real. E ain't stupid. If this was going to be on VH1, okay, maybe.
Hold on, he ain't
BT,
high. He ain't highbrow. Go ahead.
okay, BT possibly, but no, because they don't want to go there. But it was never going to be on the E Network. But come to find out, it's a promo for their new show called Prank Wars, where they prank each other and prank other people.
Yeah.
It's Ashton Kutcher's show from years ago. What was Ashton Kutcher's show?
Punked. There you go. Punked.
Punked was an awesome show. All they've done is bring back Punked.
But here's the thing. Once again, we look at Punked like it was on yesterday. I bet you if we looked it up right now, Punked hasn't been on the air in 15 years. So
20.
Right. So you have a whole generation of kids who have no idea what Punked was. And now you can take that same concept and come right back out and do it again. And you got two huge A-list celebrities. What year?
Almost 20 years. 2003.
Right.
Oh, 20 years.
That's 20 years. That is 20 years.
It's exactly. Oh, and I see what they did. The show that they're doing launches on March 17th this week. That was the first day the launch of Punked in 2003 was March 17th.
I'm just going to assume that's a coincidence. That's got to be a coincidence. I'm just like, if they did that, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I think it's going to be a fun show. I don't really think, right now there's not a whole lot wrong either Kevin Hart or Nick Cannon can do when it comes down to they're going to get eyeballs. It's going to be entertaining and it's going to make money. And so.
Oh, I will give some side drama about Nick Cannon though.
What's the side drama about Nick Cannon?
Well, see. The only fully Black baby's mother in the group is now refusing to participate in the whole you can come to my house and take pictures and just take pictures and post them on your social media. She's refusing to participate in it. She is now with another man. Okay. They are in a happy relationship and they are claiming her baby, the other family, that's their grandchild. That's that guy's daughter. And that's how it's working out. She does not.
Yeah.
He hasn't said anything about it, but
if he's smart, if he's smart, I didn't put it on the list, but we got to talk about Chris Rock and Will Smith on the side note. But yeah, I don't know, man. You can't sit up and just claim my child now. That's not gonna be cool.
Well, she had requests in for him. It had nothing to do with money. She wanted him to participate as a father more in the child's life and be a dad. And he was kind of like, I will do what I can. And she's like, no, that's not what I want to participate in, where you pop in and out, take pictures, or you send money, and that's doing what you can. That's not what I. Yeah. But it also makes me go, I feel you, girl. I get you're trying to do better for your daughter, but you literally knew what you were getting into. You were 8. You were woman number. What was she, number 6?
Don't ask me.
I'm not sure Who Wants to Be a Millionaire suitcase you opened and you were number 5 or whatever, but you knew this. I had 9 other kids before you, and he kept going back to the same women for kids. So I really don't know what to tell you, but I guess I'm kind of happy for her that she's like, I really want more from my daughter, and I thought I was going to get it, and I didn't get it.
Yeah, so. No, he, Nick Cannon definitely, he's setting himself up for this. When it's all said and done, brother, you had all these kids, all these women, and yeah, it's going to be a challenge, and you got 18 plus years of whatever it is you're going to be dealing with this nonsense. It's crazy. It's crazy that he did that. So. I don't know, man. But hey, you got plenty of money, and that's why you got plenty of jobs.
Yeah, and people keep saying, how many kids are you going to have? And he says he's not going to be done having children until God said he's done. And I'm like, now you're sounding like a cult leader. That's what that sounds like, right? Like a cult leader?
It just sounds like he's just saying something. He's sitting out here. He's not strapping up, I guess, and he's calling himself having all these children. And I'm just like, bro, it's, I don't get it.
You're
man.
gross. You're gross.
I don't know.
Next story.
What's the next story? Because I want to get to this Chris Rock, Will Smith stuff, because that's been on topic.
We started late. We're going to get to the story. I just want to do one last, kind of semi-serious story before we deep dive into Chris Rock. Okay. To our listeners and our viewers, don't be mad at me, but Lori Lightfoot is ugly. I'm sorry. She looks like a troll. She looks like one of the Keebler elves comes to life. She is a weird looking woman, but she also lost her reelection in Chicago. And it's disappointing, but I don't feel like she's done a lot.
I'm sorry, man. I can't believe you. That's how you started this story. Talk about this
How
woman's
was I
looks.
supposed to start it?
Oh, Jesus. Go ahead.
But no, how was I supposed to start it?
Not like that. Not like that. Not like that. Talk about the woman ugly. My God. My God.
And I don't, and you guys have watched this show for years. We have been on Life Full Circle Radio, Blog Talk Radio. I have never said that. This is the one time where I'm like, bruh, yo. And you know what it is? It's just a little hot comb. Just get a little hot comb and a little, and she's fine. And maybe it's because she's making that weird.
she's there was a meme that went around with her looking like one of them elves. I think she was in a Hollywood costume, and it just was Halloween costume, and it was crazy. But let's get into the serious side of this conversation. The serious side of this conversation is that there are some real issues with politics with this story. And so when you look at the stories that are out there, the politics of crime, what Chicago's mayoral race reveals about the U.S., and this has really become kind of this low hanging, easy argument that all the Democratic cities and everything that they're not doing, and they're ran by these Democrats, and it's all about chaos and all of this nonsense. And I sit back and I'm just like, wow, this is just such a layup for Republicans and how they are running these campaigns against these Democrats. And I pulled up, and I wish I had it in front of me now. I pulled up one of the top 20 cities that have these issues, and a lot of them are Democratic-led cities. But let's not forget, like I said, let's start where we are, where I am actually in Atlanta.
Lightfoot sucks as a mayor. Let's not.
I don't know. I'm not in
grind it.
Chicago. I'm not paying any attention to it.
She lost the incumbent race. She only got 17% of the vote. That's not just we're trying to bring in a Republican, we're unhappy.
Yeah.
That doesn't even happen in Florida. That's we don't like you.
You could very well be right. I don't pay that close attention to Lightfoot, but there is a tide of we're going to blame Democrats anytime there's any crime in the city. It's all about just the Democratic leadership. It's not about funding. It's not about about all of the other factors that are brought in homelessness or education or things that are not dictated simply by the mayor of the city. It's dictated by federal funding. It's dictated by state funding. It's dictated by a lot of things that are not controlled by the Democrats. And somewhere like Atlanta, that the city is 600,000 people, the Atlanta metro is 6 million, and the governor is running the whole state. So, that's the part that you look at this stuff and you get so disgusted by the politics of this process. But that's where we are.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting where you have a mayor like Lightfoot who runs. I mean, well, she won at a certain point in Chicago's life, which is great. She doesn't do a good job. She did not do a good job, guys. Like I've followed this a little bit. She has not done a good job. There's been some pretty major events that they brought to Chicago that because of her leadership has failed. But then you have people like the white guy who comes in who says, I'm law and order. I'm going to be against that. I'm going to be against that. That's great to get you voted. It's not realistic. You're not going to stop people from protesting, sir. You're not going to stop, the Black people from supporting. You're not going to stop any of this. Now, are you going to actually stop crime? Great. But what you're running on is what they call the anti-woke platform.
Right.
Which, guys, as a Republican, it is a dog whistle bag of BS. Absolutely. Because what they think woke is not actually woke. And even I, as a Republican, know that it's not actually woke. Their version is like some weird, you're telling me not to wear stripes when I want to wear stripes. That's what they're saying that woke is. You want my kid to go to a drag brunch. No, I don't. I just want to take my baby to a drag brunch and y'all leave me the hell alone about it. I mean, that's what it is. That's another one of those things of they're bringing up, transgender kids are being indoctrinated because they go to drag brunches. What? My kid's gay now because a drag queen read a nursery rhyme to them. And I know I'm going off on a little bit of rant, but I have to because they've done that here, even though we live in a very Republican area. They've done that here in the area in Orlando. When they have these drag queens read to these kids, they're not dressed up in like a nighttime drag performance. Like one lady read My Little Unicorn. Do you know what her drag costume was? A unicorn with lashes and the whole head thing and her face all made up like a unicorn, and she's wearing a dress. That was her drag. It wasn't I'm sitting in front of you in a G-string. which I
Right.
think that's what a lot of Republicans are trying to put out there.
Right, right. I get it. I get it. When we had your friend on, what was the brother's name we had on last show? And I got to pull that
Anthony,
clip. When we had Anthony
Anthony.
on, he said, when I got to pull that clip, when he says something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing, how he's a homosexual man, but he ain't about that gay stuff. And
That's the exact quote.
and
That's the
and
exact quote.
and it was funny in the moment, but his when to your point, immediately when you think about someone who may be transsexual or someone trans or someone who is who dresses in drag, that they would have gone to the school as you said, like, but no, if he went in there dressed like a unicorn, that's to a kid's room. They probably didn't. They was like, oh, this guy's just dressed up like a unicorn. It's not really
Those
that big
kids
of a
were
deal.
ecstatic. That lady,
Yeah,
when they showed the video, it's a
yeah.
unicorn. Like, this is
Right.
amazing. So,
Right, right. So, and it is so it's there's certain things that you hear about this argument and you support, and you're like, that makes you pause. At the games yesterday, perfect example. I was alerted to this, Trey, after the fact. And one of the kids, two daughters play basketball, and they're ranging in the ages from fourth grade all the way up through high school. And so, we were there a good part of yesterday watching different games. And one of the kids told my wife, like, hey, there was a girl that went into the boys' bathroom. And, my wife was kind of like, okay. You're not gonna have that conversation with a preteen or kid. You're just like, okay,
yeah.
but you're alert to this, right? And come to find out, it was, when the young lady came out of the bathroom, it was probably a young lady who identifies as a male, which we've had this conversation. It's on the record. You can go back to listen to our show. We talked about the diver that was at, I think it was University of Pennsylvania. We did that probably a year ago. You're not
Yeah.
going to get me to co-sign that. I'm sorry. If you are because here's the thing. It's almost to me like if you are a biological female, you can go in the women's bathroom and there's no problem, right? You go into the male's bathroom, it's almost like you're looking for some levels of response, right? And
But
so
here's the thing, you said
that
there was a
challenges me.
girl.
That challenges me. Go ahead.
There was a girl going into the boys' bathroom.
It was a girl, biological girl, that was going into the boys' bathroom,
A
but at the same time,
biological
she's
girl.
playing. Mind you, this is a all girls tournament. So
Okay.
if you feel as if you are really a male and you're going into the men's bathroom, then why are you playing in a girls' basketball tournament? And so there's people who will argue that fact, like, well, she should be able to do that. Okay, now legitimately, here's the thing, I watch these young ladies play and I cringe because when they in that fourth to sixth grade, they're learning how to play the game. And the best thing they know how to do is to run into each other, knock each other down, and fall on top of each other. It's very physical. And I'm sort of like, ooh, don't fall on my baby legs, don't fall on the knees. Oh my God, hold up, slow up. And if there are any biological males that are playing in this tournament with these kids, that really is going to bother me, right? Because
And I
physically
agree
you
with
have an
you.
advantage. But go ahead.
I agree with you there. I've always said the same thing on this show, and Miguel knows my stance has always been the same. There needs to be a proper study done. If
Mhm.
y'all aren't going to do a proper study, then stop talking about it. Because no one's doing it. They're just saying you can't, but this is okay, but this is not. No, there needs to be a year-long study of athletes from both sides to
Mhm.
see how these athletes perform and progress. To decide, hey, we did a year-long study, guys. Males don't change anything, even though they're being female. They're 5 times better, and it's just not fair. And the girls who want to go to the male side, they suck too. So it's just not fair for these athletes. The
Yeah,
only person I think might be able to work as a good test would be Brittany Griner, who, by the way, I did not know she sounded like a straight man. When she spoke at the NAACP Awards, I
yeah.
was like, oh, well, look at Scottie Pippen up here. That's
Oh my
interesting. All
God.
right.
So here's the thing. In certain rec leagues, up until they're probably 6 or 7 years old, it's co-ed anyway.
It's
Boys and
co-ed.
girls
Yeah.
are playing together. When you get to about
Because
the
they all
third,
suck.
because yeah, they're all just kids running around, running at each other, knocking each other down, all this type of stuff. You get to that age of third, fourth, really more fourth, fifth grade. You got a
Yep.
couple of kids on these teams that can play. Michelle, who's in the sixth grade, she has a pretty good jump shot. Layla's, pretty active. She's pretty good as well as a fourth grader. And they're just learning the game. But for an average fourth or fifth grade boy, playing with my 4th and 5th and 6th grade girls. No, that's a disadvantage. That's an advantage for that boy playing with these girls. And what we don't want to have is have these young ladies being discouraged by the game because they are at a place where I'm trying to compete and learn this game, and all of a sudden I'm playing, there's a boy over here that's running through me and knocking me over and taking the ball from me and all of that. And so, no, that's something that I will always have a problem with. If we get to that point, I don't want to see it get to the point that some 17-year-old boy who identifies as a female is playing basketball, because that's just unfair. There's no
I
other
get
way to
that.
look at it. She'll be dunking on people and all this type of stuff, and the other girls who've been training all their lives to play this game are going to be discouraged to stay in this game, and that's not something you'll get a co-sign from me ever. And so, if y'all got a problem with that,
Yeah.
holler at your boy.
Okay.
All right, so let's
Final segment, Chris Rock.
well, we got 2 more segments because we got to talk more De La Soul, and then we're gonna talk this Chris Rock. Let's talk this Chris Rock. This Chris Rock. You say whatever. So last Saturday, I think it was last Saturday. We didn't miss some time.
It was
It was
last
last Saturday.
Saturday.
Last Saturday was the first time that there was a live stand up on Netflix. And from a business side of, it's a lot of people that's sweating right now because
Cha-ching.
there's anything, we've heard stories anywhere between $20 and $40 million is what Chris Rock got to do this performance, right?
Yes.
And so I was struggling because, once again, had a basketball game, and the live thing started and I missed it. So I watched the replay starting about 10, 11 o'clock that night. And I swear I could not stay awake. It was just like, but I'm not a huge Chris Rock fan, not
Neither.
him as, not like I dislike Chris Rock. It's just as a comedian, he bores me. It's like, it's the same rant to me and all that. So we sat there for an hour and a half just waiting. When are you going to talk about Will? When are you going to talk about Will? When are you going to talk about Will? And when he finally talked about Will for the last 7 minutes of it, it was cringeworthy. I just, people said, oh, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was what we expected. We could probably pull the show from a year ago, Kia. And when I said, what did I say a year ago? It was basically, he's not going to say nothing publicly. He's going to tour
Yeah.
this material. And then finally he's going to make his money. And that's just what he did. But he sounded so hurt. He sounded like Jada Pinkett was his wretched baby mama. He was just, yo.
I've seen the clip and I've heard people's commentary, and he's made, and a lot of people took a lot of what he said out of context. Like, he made a comment about making Meghan Markle being stupid for marrying into the family, but that's not the entire joke. The joke was, we've all known they were racist because they actually started slavery. So why are you shocked that they actually are racist? And I'm like, that's the whole joke. And and you're right, he really did sound like Jada had cheated on him. And by the way, people saying she cheated. They had, the Smiths have been very clear about them having an open marriage. So maybe the person she cheated with, or not cheated, had a relationship with, it was a little too public. It was her son's friend. August Alsina ain't right in the head. It was not the right person.
Well,
but they have an open marriage. So why is everybody acting like Will Smith is this hurt, bereaved husband? And Chris Rock, why do you care so much? Yes, you got slapped, but why do you care? You could have just said, Will slapped me because he's some punk, blah, 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 blah. But he started off with, this bitch cheated on you. It's like, dude, you're doing the most.
Right. And that was the part that really was a bit too much for me, because when he kept calling Jada the B word, and I just sat up there and said, like, whoa, bruh. I said, okay, I get it. You're upset. I get it. This is your moment to get this stuff off your chest. But you gonna sit up here and call that man's like literally, if some brother out in the street got an issue with my wife, and you gonna go on TV or come online and call my wife the B word constantly and think that you're not gonna have to see me when I see you in the streets, that's and I just looked at it like, okay, here was my thing. You got it off your chest. Yes, Will was wrong. Will apologized a year ago. Will ain't said nothing else about it. We know Will understood in his apology that I know y'all not gonna mess with me no more. Tony Rock was my man. I know our relationship can never be the same. I get it. I get all that. But for Chris to come out the way he did, I was like, okay. And then for people to kind of have, I've heard both sides, people's arguments. So they like this, they don't like that. Chris has every right. Chris had every right to do what he did.
Yes,
but
no one's not saying that.
No one is saying that. But he best not come back out here. Let's not talk about it no more. There's nothing else to talk about. You said your piece, leave it alone.
I agree with you. There's nothing else to talk about. And I feel like Chris Rock for that incident, I wonder if he actually went to therapy or if he thought getting on stage and talking about it was his therapy. Because he sounds like he needs to process this in a different way. Because like you said, we know Will was wrong. He has
Right.
apologized. He's not
Right.
out here going in movies like, oh, I did what I did because of my wife and I'm this strong guy. He's not saying any of that. He's
Right.
basically, he said he was wrong. He's
Right.
taking his L's. He's losing jobs. It doesn't, he's accepting his accountability.
Right.
Chris Rock has not done that yet.
Well, Chris don't feel like he was wrong, and that's the part that
Oh,
I think that is tragic about this. Because here's the thing. Chris Rock said some other things in that special that was absolutely appalling. When he talked about aborting children up to the age of 4 years old.
yes, thought we were going to skip over that.
No,
Okay.
no, because that's the part where it bothers me where we are as a society, where we're so locked into what he said about Chris Rock, about Will Smith and a slap, that we glossed over the fact that he talked about aborting, like abort all them kids, abort them up to they 4 years old. What? No, bruh. Man, delete that. Don't ever say that joke ever again, because it ain't funny.
And by the way, that's not abortion, that's murder. That's actual murder,
Right,
people.
right. And that's the part where people like us who socially may lean left, you have to sit up and say to people like, hold on, bruh. No. We're not co-signing that at all. And so those are the type of things that make you bug out. You know, the whole thing about siding with Massa and you know, he was watching Emancipation or watch Will Smith get whooped. I'm just like, that's the stuff that makes me look at Chris Rock with a side eye. Like, nah, bro. What makes you think that's funny? That's not funny. And so, you know, anybody who knows me or you watch the show long enough, I can't stand a bully. And what Will Smith was he bullied Chris Rock in that moment, right? And I don't believe that Will Smith is naturally a bully. And I think he came out and felt bad and why he apologized so vociferously. Ooh, I tried that word and it didn't come out vociferously. But but when it comes down to it, it should be over. Everybody didn't have to come out and respond. Now everybody from Cat Williams to Tony Rock talking about, yeah, he see me in the streets and blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, man, let it go. It's over.
I want it to be let go too. You want more than anything? I want white folks to stop using this as an opportunity to get in our business. White people, this has nothing to do with you at all.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with y'all.
Yeah,
it doesn't. It's annoying.
Yeah, but they're public figures, and we can't tell them what they can have an opinion just like us. I get it, but yeah, I hear you, but you know they're gonna have an opinion, so it is what it is. So let's keep it moving. You know, if you haven't seen the special, go to Netflix, check it out. Your hand is up. What's up?
One more thing I am hoping,
Yeah,
is that at tonight's Oscars, because the Oscars are tonight.
Oh, okay. Shows how much I pay attention.
A white comedian there walks up to another white comedian and pops him in the mouth, and then everybody's even, and then yay!
That ain't gonna happen. Anybody who's ever had a thought about doing that nonsense will not have that thought ever again, because they sitting by like, ooh, Will Smith, boy, his money gonna be messed up for a minute, messed around with that little moment of indiscretion. So,
and now we have to deal with Bad Boys 4. Ew, gross.
It'll be decent.
Ew
it'll be decent.
Is the response you're looking for is ill gross.
It wasn't that bad. Bad Boys 3 wasn't that bad.
Bad Boys 3 was fine. It was an epic tale of two old Negroes out here doing stuff they ain't got no business doing, and an old Mexican lady who ain't got no business doing nothing. Yeah. But 3 should have been where it ended at. We didn't need a 4.
Hey man, you know, money talks and you know what walks, and it comes down to it. They out there about to get this paper. So anyway, all right, so let's move on. We got to get into this conversation about one of my heroes.
I thought we talked about him already. Are we
No.
back to the De La Soul stuff?
We're absolutely back to the De La Soul stuff, and it's because there's more to the story. As we mentioned, February 13th, Dave Jolicoeur, De La Soul, True Water Dove, dies at the age of 54. Now, that is a
better story.
Huh?
There was a better story.
There's a better story?
Yes, that Colin Kaepernick called his adoptive parents who raised him and loved him, he's now calling them racist? Okay, go back to the De La Soul
Yeah.
story.
So
Right.
here's a part of De La Soul that I want you guys to be able to follow if you haven't followed this part of the story.
Look at my mail.
There is a situation that has been going on for years, and Tommy Boy is their former record company, and this story is 4 years old, and it talks about them fighting for streaming. When it came down to it, De La Soul for the last many years, privately and then became public, were fighting for their right to have their music streamed, and the challenge that you have here is that streaming, although they don't make a lot of money in streaming, it keeps them in the forefront. It helps the new people to discover them and realize who they are. And you're talking about for
Yeah.
20 years, streaming has been for the last, I would say, what are we talking about? What was it? Napster is probably 98, 97,
Yes.
98, somewhere we're in there. When that's when we started to see music being uploaded to these massive computers, right? And so there's a situation going on right now with Dress from Black Sheep, who's suing his record label about this. And he basically said in his contract, it said in the contract, and I'm paraphrasing, that they are supposed to get 50-50 rights to all royalties from any sort of other means of distributing the music. When they wrote that contract, when they got into the music business in the late 80s, early 90s, no one thought about streaming as being anything that was the other. So this is the other, right? And so he's suing his Universal Music Group, I think it's Universal Music Group, for $700 million to make up for, we're talking about Engine, Number 9, on the New York City. This is a huge record
Massive song.
that's being all over the world, and it's in commercials now and all this type of stuff, right? And De La Soul was going through that same issue, and you're talking about a generation of 20 plus years of kids who have no exposure to this music outside of seeing them perform live at music festivals and things of that nature. All this time, Dave was going through these health challenges. 2 weeks before this music is finally put on streaming, he passes away. To me, that is the most tragic and it's sad thing that has happened in this scenario. And so it's just sad. I know you say, oh, they say, I know you kind of joking about it, but it did hit me kind of close because music has a certain relationship with all of us. So when you think about it, who is an artist when you were 17, 20 years old that you just like, that's my people's? I don't know if it's
Jill Scott.
So
Erykah
Jill
Badu
Scott.
and Jill Scott.
Okay.
I would have died for Erykah Badu back in the, oh my God.
Okay.
Ooh.
So here's how important De La Soul is. There is no Jill Scott or Erykah Badu if there's not De La Soul. And people will say,
I agree with you. That part I do know.
And that's the part that people don't understand who haven't had this exposure. And people say, well, what are you talking about? Well, before De La Soul, there was Afrika Bambaataa and there was the Jungle Brothers, and then here comes De La Soul, who basically told, in that time when they came out, KRS-One and BDP and Rakim, and it was a style of rap that was a little bit more machismo, was a little bit more, I'm the best, I'm the top of the world, nobody can fail me, every girl wants me. And then there was a whole lifestyle of people that was just like, that's a lie. You're not gonna walk out here and tell me that every time you step on the streets, every woman you approach is gonna give you anything that you want. So the thing about the De La's and the tribes and in the native tongues is that it was fun, it was engaging, it was cool, it was laid back. It was smart. It was smart. These guys were self-professed, kind of the nerd type guys. They were. Dave came out, he had the flip up glasses, so he made people like me, who is so crazy. On one end, I never wanted to be the super popular cat, but then I won best personality in high school. So it was kind of like, I never was a dude who wanted to be there on the forefront. Yeah, I played basketball and my boys played football and all my crew, we did everything, but we was never the thugs. We was never all that. So when they first hit the scene, they were like us. And so we go back now, talk about my crew and everything, and De La and Tribe and the Roots, and all the way down, the thread between them and the Roots and Common and all the way up to Kendrick Lamar starts with this group. And so for people who are listening to this show for the first time and said, oh man, De La just had a couple of little nice tracks. No. When you start talking about anybody that had skits on their album, when you listen to the album and there's little funny skits in between, the stuff that the Fugees did, De La was the first ones who did that, right? When the Wu-Tang was doing it, De La were the first ones who did that. And so when you look at what happened with him and him passing, it was dope. Now, I tell you, when it came down to this announcement, I just wanted just a little bit of a clip of what happened. Amazon Live, they premiered this, and I want to get to the little bit of a clip. But anyway, I'll go back to that. If you haven't seen it, it's all over the internet. Man, they had an amazing show last Thursday night, the night before it came out. Everybody from Queen Latifah, who never touches the mic anymore, D Nice, Moni Love, you name it. They were all there. They were all honoring the brother. And I'm really, really glad they did it. And I've been nonstop De La for the last 2 weeks in music. It's just like ain't nothing else on. I'm rediscovering music I haven't heard in a long time. That's my drop when I say when you give your response.
I don't have a response.
You have none.
But I will say it is tragic that he went through all that and he didn't get to see the fruits of his labor, but his family will. The fruits of his labor and everything.
Yeah, but
that's all I got.
But yeah, and I get what you're saying about his family will. His family will see some of it, but it's in comparison to they make so small money from the streaming, but the ability to be more popular and the ability, hopefully long term in merchandising and different things, maybe movies because this is a movie. The story about what they had to deal with is a movie.
I believe
and so hopefully that will be the fruit that they will they'll realize after it's all said and done. R.I.P. to my man Dave De La Soul. And just musically, if y'all don't know them cats, y'all about to be exposed to some amazing concept music. And remember, most of the stuff that's the dopest stuff that they made is 25 to 30 years old, and it's going to sound like it's better than anything you heard. That's just my personal opinion. All right, what else you got? You want to talk about today before we get up out of here?
I really thought the Colin Kaepernick thing was interesting.
Talk to me about the. I don't know anything about the Colin Kaepernick thing. I'm open to it. Let's talk about it.
So basically he's saying now that he's super black, in the past couple of years, he's now the most blackest person ever black. And he's saying that his adopted parents, whom in the TV show that he created, made it seem like they were not racist. They just white people don't know how to raise a black child, but wanted to give him the best life possible. Now he's coming out to say that his parents were actually racist a little bit. And it's, to me, it's like, okay, now you cross this weird line, and a lot of black people are like, yo, bro, now we can't be with you on this one. I don't understand, because even they were saying how he wanted to get cornrows, and his parents said, well, we don't want you to get cornrows because we don't want people to think that you're a thug or anything like that. We don't want people to think that of you if you get cornrows. A lot of black people made the same comment. Nobody's parents wanted them to get cornrows back in the day because they all even black parents kind of thought, it's not a good look. I don't want you to look like those rappers on TV. I don't want you to look like Allen Iverson.
But
is that true or not?
But everything you just said is inherently racist. You don't want people to look like Allen Iverson. He's a black superhero to a lot of kids' age, right? So you're telling me that you don't want me to look like this black kid who has changed the game of basketball and changed culture. You don't want me to wear cornrows, which are inherently something that's black.
Or a stereotype. There's a difference between racism and stereotype.
It's a stereotype. It's a stereotype. A stereotype that is based in racism, right? If you think about, if someone says that I don't want you to look and act like Allen Iverson, why don't you want to look and act like Allen Iverson? Because ideally, the only big transgression he had was when he was in high school.
No.
Yeah.
That's not his only big transgression.
What was his name? Name something else outside of being a loudmouth. To some people.
I mean, the loudmouth fight-provoking thing is a little bad. But then a lot of parents, and here's another, I will semi-agree with you on that. But again, I don't think his parents did that because they were racist. I think his parents were worried about, I'm gonna
let you finish. Go ahead, finish.
It just seems jacked up to me now that your parents raised you, adopted you, raised you. They didn't want you to get cornrows. They let you do it anyway. They didn't want you to do certain things like all parents don't. They let you do it anyway. You're now here and kind of saying, well, hindsight, my parents were racist. And it just seems mean to me. And you're blindsiding your parents. It just seems really mean.
I don't believe that they probably have never had that conversation. I'm sure they've had that conversation before privately, right? To make it public. Maybe they have. To make it public is something different. But that particular prejudice, you're predetermining that there's something wrong with cornrows. And it's based in the race of people who wear cornrows. That's racism. Now, the thing about it is it am I gonna say his parents? You can be racist and not intentionally being racist. You can be racist and not be like a tiki torch card carrying with the that's a different type of racism. But I want to read up the story a little bit more and see what Colin is talking about. But yeah, now we're at a place now where people are inherently looking and acting and moving the way they want to move, and you're able to accept it. Just I think what was it, the Crown Act? Just maybe in the last 2 to 3 years have Black women been able to wear their hair natural in the military. That's ridiculous. So you're basically telling me that if I don't go out here and get my hair pressed and have it pulled back like I'm a white woman, then all of a sudden you have an issue with the way my hair grows out of my head. That's an issue. That's racism. And it may not be, if a sergeant who has control and has leverage over a soldier and they enforce the law, it's a racist law that needs to be changed. But
and also another thing, Colin, and this is the most annoying thing I have with Colin Kaepernick. You won this Black, never. So now that you're this Black, doesn't that annoy you too? That there's been other mixed race athletes who acknowledged the fact that they were Black the entire time. It didn't seem like Colin started acknowledging that he was Black until he started kneeling, and then all of a sudden
Colin doesn't have the personality of being a very public figure. At least he wasn't. He was forced. He was forced into it. I had no opinion of Colin Kaepernick outside of him being a Black quarterback that was trying to play for San Francisco, and I always cheer for the underdogs and Black quarterbacks. But he wasn't an activist until he kneeled, which he thought was just a small gesture that turned into the big thing.
He wasn't anything. Before all of this happened, he wasn't anything. You know how a lot of athletes go into, I'm going to try to be an actor, I'm going to try to do this, I'm in a lot of commercials. I don't remember seeing him in any commercials.
No, he was just a football player.
He was just a football player. I think he was on the cover of Essence magazine once.
I don't know. I don't keep up. I don't keep up with who's on the cover of Essence. But to your point, Colin was not someone who really was pursuing trying to be a public activist. He wasn't trying to do that. He was forced into that.
Or a public figure. He wasn't trying to be a public figure.
He wasn't trying. He was a football player who was trying to win this job in San Francisco. And the whole thing around this kneeling situation, and I want to say this is 2017? What would it be, 2023
it was
now?
right before the pandemic.
So it was 2017. I don't know which one of the big who was there. Maybe 2014 might have been. We had so many killings and police brutality situations that went on from 2012 up to 2017. I'm not sure which one was the one that was a tipping point for him. But at that point, okay, so it was Philando Castile, the one out of Minnesota,
which was a tipping point for a lot of people.
Which was a tip. So he said, enough is enough. I have a platform, but I'm not running around here. I'm not running the press conferences screaming. I'm just going to kneel to one knee. And there are folks who had such an issue with just that, and it turned into what he is now. Now, he is still saying he sends letters and calls to the NFL every year and says, I'm still ready to play. And
he does. He even sends out the video. He sends out video of him actually being ready to play. But I think now that time has passed, and I feel like now he has a stronger voice outside of it. But I'm praying that he uses it more as an education for both sides instead of just poking at his past. I don't think his parents are bad people. I don't think his parents, I guess I always hold up for parents who love their kids and do their best, and then their kids come back later on and go, you were awful to me because you didn't let me do so-and-so. And the parents is like, wait, what? What are you, like if when Layla and I forgot your daughter's name that quick.
Michelle
and Saran. When Layla and Michelle get older, let's say they're in their 30s, after them having a great upbringing by you and Trey, they're now famous athletes, and they get on the show and say, yeah, our parents were horrible. My mom was this and my dad was that. And you guys are blindsided. Wouldn't you be kind of like, well, wait a minute. We did the best we could.
Sure.
Sure. I would be hurt for you.
Yeah. I'm sure if that would ever happen, God forbid it ever does, I would obviously be very, very, very upset, especially if I know that we did all that we could to raise them. And I don't know enough about this particular story to know. But here's the thing. I know from what I know about Colin Kaepernick and my opinion of Colin Kaepernick is that, first of all, he didn't spend the last 6 years and his life did not turn out the way he wanted it to. He's still in his early 30s. I'm assuming he's probably 33, 34, somewhere in that range. His NFL career was cut off only because of the fact that he took a stand. and
Prematurely, absolutely.
he took a stand for the culture and for Black people and for liberation, and for that his life was altered. I won't say destroyed. His life was altered. He didn't take the path he wanted to take. Now, the situation with his parents, I know he was adopted, he was raised, and who knows? I don't know their relationship, because we also know that there's a lot of stories of people who adopt kids for financial reasons.
Yes.
They adopt kids from different cultures. When I always see the people like Angelina Jolie that'll go grab some kids from Africa and raise them up,
I
and
hate that. I hate that. I hate
so
that.
right,
I hate it.
so my thing is, how do we know how he had his life? Because I know there was a movie done about it, or a series that was done on Netflix or something a while back. I never finished
Yeah.
it.
Colin in between black and white.
Yeah, and so my understanding, even in that series, there were some issues. And here's the thing: culturally, there's some issues. Culturally, I don't know what it is to be raised as a white guy from California. And if I go adopt some some white kid from California, bring him to my history and my life of growing up East Coast, DC, VA, and my upbringing and having to deal with all the civil. Yeah, there's gonna be some times where that white kid might get a little uncomfortable, like,
You
whew.
got that poor white child listening to go-go music on the way to school.
Exactly. It's not going to them, but it's gonna be a culture shock. And so I'm sure Colin being raised by this family, there was some culture shock there. And
Yeah.
so it's stuff that you had to deal with. But who knows? Like I said, I can't speak much on it outside of kind of platitudes, because I haven't read this whole article. But I'm
Yeah.
just not going to say that Colin is out of pocket just because of the fact that they had to treat him right. Well, we don't know that. That's the way I go with it. But anyway, couple things. Anything else? But a couple things I wanted before we close out the show.
I gotta go put babies to bed.
Yeah. So I appreciate you jumping on. What are you watching on TV right now? What shows are you watching?
Oh, I'm sorry. Just a light bulb exploded.
Oh,
Did you watch the Murdaugh Murders, a Southern Scandal on Netflix? Did you watch it?
not a
Child, you need to
second.
go watch it.
Not a
Everybody
second.
needs to go watch it. It is a well done documentary. That man
Mm-hmm.
killed everybody. They pushed their maid down the stairs. Their
Oh
little
my God.
raggedy son killed that girl in that boat. They other little red-headed demon child killed that gay kid. It is a murder. It's murder central around the Murdaughs.
Oh
It's
my
just
God.
well done.
Is that the one that they just had the trial was on TV for the last few weeks there or
Yes.
something?
Yes, and
Yeah.
he did get sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences for killing his child and his wife.
Yeah, and so no, I didn't watch any of it. I saw some people talking about it. Those type of trials and stuff. I have not really paid attention to those type
I
of
loved
trials since
it.
OJ. When OJ was on, I was caught up like everybody else. And then at that point, I said, I don't ever want to experience this ever again. It don't feel good in my spirit.
See,
My spirit, man.
I'm a trial crackhead. My husband hates it. He's like, "Are you
Uh,
listening to this again?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm absolutely listening to
yeah,
random testimony of the medical examiner in my ear as I wash dishes." Yes,
no,
but
yeah,
it was good, and I think it kind of shows in South Carolina, Low Country, how a family can run a legal dynasty for years, fixing the system for themselves. And I think the Alec murder actually thought, "Oh, I did all this stuff, but it's fine. It's no big deal. They'll just go in my favor." And the black judge was like, "No, bail denied. Please go wait in jail
mm,
until the trial is over."
yeah,
Like,
no, 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 no. You're a murderer. You need to go. You need to go rot for a
but no,
while.
he
And so,
also stole $4 million from the law firm. He stole $4 million from his law firm, from clients, from everybody. And he actually did the one thing that broke my heart. Is my biggest fear as a special needs parent. Their maid had 2 special needs kids. One was more than the other.
mhm.
And when she died, they were like, "Oh, we'll sue our homeowners insurance and we'll get money and give it to the kids." They never gave those boys any money. And there was nobody to protect them or be there for them. And as a special needs parent, it's my biggest fear that something will happen to me and Omar and somebody will take advantage of Devin and not give him what he's earned or due. So that was my biggest thing of, you're a horrible human being. Even more
Yeah,
than you killing your wife and child.
yeah. It's some real creeps in the world. Some real creeps in the world. And so, and
What are you
unfortunately,
watching?
Uh, you know, we're still deep in the series. I don't know. It's our what's the word I'm looking for? Our guilty pleasure. We're watching BMF. Um, we're watching that. Yeah. Every time you ask me this, I tell you this. What else am I watching or recently watched that was interesting that we finished? I don't know. It's some series out there I keep hearing about. What is it? The worst of us, or the something of us that everybody's talking about. I think it's on HBO. That I want to pick up. Anyway, but I am watching. let me see. I am watching this. This is a series is on PBS. It's produced by Chuck D, and it kind of goes through the culture and the history of hip hop from the beginning all the way up to recent day, up to culture wars.
Oh,
It is pretty
cool.
dope.
That's cool.
It is really cool. It's on PBS, and the fact that hip hop is being showcased on PBS at that level is something that's encouraging. So watching that, and great stories. It all calls way up to Trump because a lot of people understand going back, the early days. A lot of rappers were inspired by Donald Trump. They have a lot of lyrics that because of his wealth and because of his
His wealth and
yeah,
the
yeah.
bravado.
They aspired in his bravado. They aspired to be him, and now they're trying to backtracking on some of that stuff. But yeah, that's kind of what we're watching. And so, coming up, the NCAA tournament's coming up. Fingers up, church finger. What's up?
Sorry, one more thing.
Hmm.
Kerry Washington's new show with Delroy Lindo came out called
Yeah.
Unprisoned, and apparently
Hmm.
it's getting rave reviews. They're saying it's really, really funny, but they're
Yeah.
tired of seeing Kerry Washington chase after white men because that's also happening in the series.
I Jesus.
Deep side collectively.
Right, because you kind of like, yeah, that's kind of her MO in her shows. I did see that. I think that is on. Is it Hulu or is it Netflix? Which one is it
It's
on?
Hulu. It's
It's
Hulu.
on, it's on Hulu. And so I'll check that out soon. We like to watch those type of shows. I'm trying to think what's coming out. Oh, I have not. Have you seen Creed yet?
I haven't, and we want to go. We can just get our babysitter to stop canceling on us the morning of. We can go see Creed.
Same
But
here.
yeah,
Same here. We haven't seen Creed, so maybe by next week's show we'll be able to talk about Creed. All right, y'all. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Happy Sunday. Enjoy your day. Go get some rest, Kia. Peace and love.
bye guys. See you next week.
Hello, U.S. family. My name is Miguel.